listening to the Gettin Salty Experience podcast.
Yes, we are back. Welcome back, Leatherhead Nation. Gettin Salty Experience podcast. It's the only podcast that brings the Firehouse Kitchen Table to you. The best goddamn first responder podcast in the whole wide world. And we got a great segment. We got a Q&A with Frank Molay on tonight, baby. How do you like that? Hanky, baby, welcome. Filling in for Roofy, who's out killing something. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
You exchanged one vowel for another. That's all you did. But I'm happy to be here. And hello to all my brothers and sisters out in Leatherhead Nation.
You know what we did?
Nice.
You know what we did tonight? We did a WAP swap. That's what we did.
My word.
The only thing I'm missing is the velvet curtains. That's it.
Could you put some really gaudy drapes up behind you, bro?
He was gonna go up. He was gonna go up to Walmart and pick some up today, but he didn't have time.
I ran out of time, but I was gonna hit
those things at Walmart. I bet you those curtains. I'm telling you, though, I guarantee you those are really expensive curtains.
Oh.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he's getting any slack over it.
No, but you can't go buy those things at Walmart, bro.
First of all, I just want to thank Rosie because she's given us endless because he didn't buy them himself. She's given us endless
Rosie's the bomb.
I know, but she bought those curtains. So I'm saying thank you, Rosie, because she's given us endless ammunition against one Louis Refrano. So
you know what? I gotta give a shout out to Rosie and my wife because they both now work for the company with us and they're doing a fabulous job. Rosie does the customer service. She answers all the emails. My wife is head of purchasing. It's just one big happy family. And then we have Laura in the office.
It's nice.
Excellent.
You know who else is a big part of our happy family?
Who's that?
Well, I believe it's Chief 360, our chief sponsor.
Oh, yeah. Give it up, bro.
All right, guys. Chief 360. Are your responders slowed down using outdated or unreliable technology? Chief 360 enhances operation with technology products that reduce response times and increase situational awareness. Chief 360 Station Alert is the most affordable and reliable alerting system on the market. Designed with health and cardiac wellness in mind, it uses escalating tones to alert and wake up responders. The system also uses both CAD and tone dispatching to ensure rapid, reliable alerting. Chief 360 Mobile offers an easy-to-use interface to get responders fast and accurate dispatching into the palm of their hands. When every second counts, rely on Chief 360. Check them out now at chief360.com. Again, that is chief360.com.
Excellent. They have more products actually. They just read up with us for extended advertising. They have some more cool products, Pete. So you have to go hire that voiceover guy again. He was really good, man.
Yeah. I'll find them. I got them on Fiverr.com for $3.
Oh, beautiful.
We need to find out where that firehouse is because I want to be a fireman there.
It's nice, right? Oh, a lot of firehouses.
They got the leather chairs with the embossed Maltese.
Beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful.
We used to get our stuff. You went out when people put the trash out. There was an old couch and an old chair. You threw it on the back of the rig.
And sometimes they had bed bugs in them.
Dude, I was just asking Griffey about that one when he brought the chair and that had bed bugs in it.
Speaking of Roofy, he's not here this week. Really? We just should tell all of our guests that that he is, or all of our
this week. If you don't know, we did a WAP swap. We got Hank for Roofy, Italian for Italian. But I think you talked to Roofy this week, didn't you?
Yeah, no, I did. I talked to him today. He sent me a little file. You know how he sends us all his pictures of all his kills?
Yes. Yeah.
He does. So here's the latest one. Although I think it's a little weird. Hold on, check this out. That's Roofy. Boy, that deer's really getting the hell out of here.
Wow.
My word. Ouch. Roofy. Oh, my God.
Wow.
Yeah. He tried to go hand-to-hand with the deer and lost.
Yeah, see that? You can't. He's usually up in his stand shooting at him from below, but now he must have gone out and take a piss or something. He was like, I'll wait for that motherfucker to come down.
He must have keyed that deer's car or something.
Yeah, maybe.
No, the deer horned his car, his new truck. Oh my God, the new Chevy. Forget it. If he got that thing keyed.
Oh, that's a nice Chevy he's got. Oh, what did I have to? Did I have any other thing to put on here? Nope. All right, that's it. I had to set you up for the Lou thing. I'll cross that out. Beautiful.
Just go behind the scenes with the audience, boys.
It's all out front.
One more thing, guys. If you guys are in the chat tonight, if you absolutely positively have to have a question answered by Mr. Hank Molay, don't forget to use the super chat. That's right. And I'll be telling you guys, it's one of our questions, how to use the super chat tonight in our show. And also, guys, while you're here, remember to hit that like, subscribe, and share button. That's all because of you guys. You guys are our syndicators. You guys are our audience. So hit that like, subscribe, and share, and get us out there.
Beautiful. All right, PDP, Tiz with the first one.
All right, you crazy kids. Well, actually, you know what?
What?
Hank and I were chatting before the show, and I think he's a little he's not miffed. That's not the word. I was going to
use that word.
Maybe he's a little remiss that, when he came on the show to talk to us, like we didn't have like our format quite down yet. And I was saying to Hank, listen, let's, why don't we, fill a little time talking to you tonight. So he said, hey, you know what? I never got to talk about how I got on the job and all that sort of stuff and where I was before the job and everything like that. So maybe we can talk to Hank about that like we do with all of our other guests.
So he's feeling a little slighted, maybe a little left out.
Yeah, he'd be a little
listen, you can spin it any way you want. We were talking, like if you needed a filler, you got anything to talk about.
Is that what it is? Maybe
you're putting it, out first. You're not using it as a filler, but whatever.
Maybe he feels like the last guy chosen in the dodgeball team. I don't know. All right, I'll take Molay. All right.
All right, Molay.
I probably would have been chosen last, but so what? What's your point?
Right. All right, so you know what? Let's do it. Pete, put him in the back room. We'll bring him out. Pretend like it's the first show he ever did. He hasn't been on here 82 times. And we'll bring him out here like he's the guest for the first time. All right?
Just because you didn't have a format and you begged me to do the first show, we don't have to get into it. And
get him out. Put him in the back room.
Senior dude, I'm putting you in the backstage. Hold on a second. Hold on.
Put him in the bathroom. Put Jelly in the bathroom.
Put him in the bathroom. Hold on. I'm putting you backstage. Don't leave. Don't leave. Your internet's good. Don't leave.
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah. All right.
Oh, hey. So we got a good show tonight.
Yep. Who do we have?
We got a real legend of the job, man. 280, ladder 132, I believe. Went to Rescue 1. Man, he went to a lot of fires. Great guy, senior man at Rescue at Squad 288. Also a little stint in 175 truck. Let's bring him in. Let's do a round of applause for Hank Henry Molay. Frank, bring him in.
Hey, Frank.
Hey, Frank.
Wait a minute.
Welcome to the show.
I'm supposed to be. Is this pin the cue? I don't even know what it is, but I hear you guys talk about it. So.
Give it a Pete. Give it a Pete. Cricket.
Oh, you know what? Actually, that wasn't bad. Shout out to Pin the Q Productions. Good.
All right, so Hank.
Yes.
Let's dive right in, man. Where you from? Where'd you grow up? Where'd you come from? Give me a little background on where you're from originally.
Okay. Born in the borough of Queens in Ozone Park. As a young lad of like 4.5 years old, my father moved us out to Wantor on Long Island and stayed in Wantor till around 9th grade. My mother had passed away a couple of years earlier. My father remarried and about 3 years later, and we ended up moving to Freeport. And that's basically where I grew up, graduated high school. And
all right, Hank, thanks for coming on the show tonight. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. I got some drinking to do.
I'm kidding.
You slugs later.
Hank, were you over by that nautical mile? Where is it? Son of a bitch.
Hey,
don't break his balls, Kev. Come on.
All right. So you moved to Freeport, which is a pretty hotbed for fire back in the day there. So what got you into the fire service? Your father wasn't a fireman, right?
No. My father was an Army Air Corps. There was no Air Force back in World War II. It was the Army Air Corps.
Wow.
And he had actually come here as a kid from Italy and was a U.S. citizen became a citizen. And like a lot of the younger men in those days wanted to go off and fight the bad guys. And he had switched his birth certificate when he was 17. And not like now, then you could use a little pencil eraser and, switch something. And so he made himself 18 and he was able to enlist, hoping to go back to the other side to fight the Nazis that were taking over, Italy there.
Yeah. And
unfortunately, back and we're not going to get into a whole political thing, all right? But back then, you've heard about the Japanese internment camps when we were in the Pacific. Well, unfortunately, if you were an Italian during World War II, they take you into the services, but most of the time they wouldn't send you over across the pond because they were afraid you were going to spy and give information. So he spent World War II as I think it was a master sergeant, training guys up. There was a base back then, I think, in Madison, Wisconsin. So he graduated when he after World War II, he went to work for Pan American World Airlines.
Oh, wow.
So I'm giving you that because that's where I ended up before I was a fireman. But so how I got involved was I graduated Freeport High, played football in Freeport High School, and I was going to
were you the guy that was holding the big cone screaming, rah, 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 or were you actually playing?
Who do you think I had bow legs like you? Like you're
oh, that's what I'm talking about.
That's it, Hank.
He's
Don't
warming
make
up.
no shit off
That's
nobody.
it. Now he's warming up a little bit.
Hey.
I like it. All right.
Okay.
I like it.
So so yes. So I'm going to college, a 2-year college, to get an associate's degree in criminal justice because I thought I was going to be a cop.
Really?
And I run into one of my buddies that I played high school football with, this guy, Mike. And he says, my brother's the captain of the hook and ladder here in town. And he says, they need some young guys. I'm thinking about joining. You want to join? So I'm thinking, well, I'm going to be a cop. I might be rolling up to some fires or something. Can't hurt to learn. So I said, yeah, I'll give it a shot. So he says, I said, what do I do? He says, well, come to the firehouse on Sunday morning. That's like the big day where you get to meet everybody and clean the rigs and, they do some drilling and everything. So this was 1976. So 75, I think, or like December of 75 going to 76. So I go to the firehouse and I meet the guys and they're all friendly and, I'm looking at I'm helping them clean the rig and we're doing different things. I see they're drilling and I'm like, all right, I kind of like it. So what's the next thing? So they tell me, we're coming, I think like Wednesday night, we're having a house committee, you clean the house, blah, blah, blah. I do that, and I see the typical ball breaking going on and, it's like a camaraderie. And long story short, a month or two down, I said, all right, I'm going to join. So I put the paper, you put your application in and you get voted on. And I got voted in. And then you go to they teach you, but then the Nassau County Fire Academy. So I go through the Fire Academy and I'm a member in either, I think, March or April of 76. I'm now a member of Excelsior Hook and Ladder Company #1 in Freeport, which was at that time had a 61 or a 62 Seagrave tiller. Had like the 12-cylinder Rolls Royce engine in it. It was a beauty, but it had the old tormentors, that you pulled out with the screw jacks. And it was the first tiller rig that was ever enclosed. It slid, but they had it designed where it was enclosed. We usually see the guys that were open, that are closed. And that old tiller bucket now is preserved and it's in the firehouse. And that's where I ended up hooking up with Paul Hashhagen and Bruce Newberry, who the three of us eventually ended up in Rescue 1. But so I'm a Freeport fireman, and back in those days, Freeport was a fairly busy department. I believe for a few years, they might have been the busiest volunteer department in the state. There's 6 firehouses, 5 or 6 engine companies. We were the only truck company, so we were getting a lot of work. And once I got involved with that, and it really didn't take long in Freeport to get a job. I think within the first week, I told you, I ended up fighting a fire in Roosevelt. We were covering for them. And then the next week, we had a house fire, and there were weekends there where I'd have 3 jobs over a weekend. You'd have 3 house fires, 2 house fires, a commercial building. And I was like, you know what? I really like this. And there were two older guys in the company that were New York City firemen. and one was a lieutenant in 236 engine. The other was a firefighter in one truck in downtown Manhattan. And I kind of started, hanging with them and asking them questions. And, like anything else, you take an interest, they'll take an interest. So I would, if they were at the job when it came in, I would hang on to their coattails. And, then they told the guys when the test was coming up, there would be a test in 7.
Uh-oh.
Did he say he got this fixed?
Oh, no.
He was bragging about how he got it fixed the other day.
He did. He got it.
Anywho, he sent me a mile-long goddamn text. Oh, yeah, I had the cable company over here. There was something wrong, and they gave me a broadband, and now I had. I got to find a text that he sent me.
He did tell me that they spent 4 hours at his house upgrading him, but he did get upgraded from he was down to something like 70 something, and he was upgraded to 325, which is what he should be. But fuck, man.
Yeah, let's see how long it takes him to get back in. Anybody got any questions? But in the chat while he's gone, let's talk about him.
Oh, Mr. Molay, my word! You know what? I'll answer.
Should have dove right to the fucking questions, man.
You know what? It's all good. I'm going to answer this one question right here. I'm a retired New York City fireman from L1 Ladder 112, and was interested in joining the super chat. How do I go about doing that? So Vincent, thank you for your interest in that. Real quick, what the super chat is, you're not really joining it. It's like where you get to contribute to the show if you so choose. So let me just read this really quickly. Google has described the super chat as a highlighted message in the chat stream that stands out from the rest of the crowd to get even more of your favorite creators' attention. Super chat will replace fan funding, the site's previous tool. All right. To use the super chat, you must give money, and then your comment will remain pinned to the top of the chat for up to 5 hours. Keep in mind the creators can blacklist certain chat words and ban harassing viewers. So when you do that, you select the amount of money that you want to.
And when he comes in, bro,
here he comes.
Be frozen. Be frozen.
I heard that. You can act like you're frozen, but
come on, Pete, you ruined it.
He heard it. He was backstage. You
have no idea how pissed I am right now.
Oh, I'm sorry, Hank.
We'll be on the phone tomorrow.
Hanky, you know what it is? It's that 300 megs or whatever it is still, it's still not super fast. So, it's all right. Don't worry.
Well, that's as fast as it's getting here. Like I said, they spent 4 hours here, and it cost me a couple of $100. So I'm a little bit ticked right now that happened.
All right. Maybe your payment bounced.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, listen, you do the best you can. You're
Let's talk fast before he goes out again. So
anyway, thank you to everybody who's doing anything with the super chats. Real quick, just to let me finish that real quick. So basically, you guys, you need like a Google email or a YouTube account in order to do that, and whoever contributes to that, it really it helps us support us and helps support the show. So we appreciate that. Thank you very much.
MC had a question in it.
Yeah, he had a good one. Hold on here. It was way in the back. Let me find it because this is for Mr. Molay himself. He said that the precursor I can remember. Oh, here it is. When you were on my show, you'd mentioned that there was a precursor to SOC, 13 David. How much did those responsible for forming SOC take in terms of procedure from 13 David?
13 David was just doesn't have a captain riding around instead of a chief, 13 David?
But there was no SOC, so it was kind of the precursor. It was what they decided that they were going to take a SOC captain, and he was going to respond on anything that would be considered a SOC job, a building collapse, a confined space, a dive job. A lot of it had to do with the dive job because most of the chiefs weren't familiar with even the diving capabilities. But so it was that, and they would report into the chief in charge and kind of act as the liaison, and say like, "Listen, Chief, this is what my guys are. This is what one or two, whatever can do for you." And that's what started. And then down the road, it became, I would imagine that Chief Downey and some of the other, guys that had rescue experience at the time, got to the powers to be, because those rescue captains yield back then. They yielded a lot of weight on the job. You always had the commissioner's ear or a chief of department. So I'm sure some backroom works, and that was how SOC started. Basically taking the SOC companies out of the battalions, because at one time you were in the battalion. When I went to Rescue 1, we were in the 9th Battalion with ladder 4, 54 engine, 35 truck, 40 engine, and 23 engine. So you would work overtime and detailed in those companies, and they could get work overtime and detailed into your company. So at some point, I guess the captain said, you know what? Like, if you're down one man that doesn't have the training, say dive training, or doesn't have this, you're cutting your capabilities. So I guess they decided to keep it in house. So you should have the training, and hence SOC was born.
It was Rescue Services before that, I think, right? Was that what it was called? Or?
Yeah, but I think Rescue Services and 13 David were kind of like Bing Bing. And then I don't know the exact year that SOC. The actual SOC designation came in. I don't remember, but
it had to be sometime when the squads were formed, because they expanded the amount of companies that. Plus, that's when they also put hazmat into SOC, right? Hazmat was never part of SOC.
Right. Well, it's hazmat, the Marine units.
Right. They brought that all into
anything that had a specialty. Right. That you needed special training or something. Yep. When it's a special operations command.
Yep. Nice. All right. So before we get into other questions, do you want to finish your story on?
Yeah. So basically.
Well,
hey, listen, you're wasting precious time here.
I'm sorry, guys.
So at that point, after fighting a few fires and experiencing the adrenaline rush and getting scared shitless and realizing that each time you went in, you were like, you're coming out alive, and you found more out about yourself. Like, wow, I could do this. That's when I decided to shift gears and go from law enforcement into firefighting. So 78, I started working for Pan American World Airlines, which, just like you said, you have a father on the job. I didn't have a father in the job there, but my father had become a union official at Pan Am.
Oh.
So that helped me get a foot in the door. And
you know what that was like, right, Pete? Italian guy, direct from Italy. He was a union official. You got that song, Pete? What's the song?
And your point.
Hank, come on over to Pan Am. I got a job for you.
That's pretty much how it went. Unfortunately, I did have to start working midnights with Monday and Tuesday nights off, which, kind of sucked, but it didn't matter, because I would get off of work and, learning from Vinny and Bob, the two city firemen, that, with the test coming up, that 50% of it was going to be your physical. And they had published what the events were going to be. So that was my second job. I knew there was going to be at least 40,000 people filing for that test.
That was a goddamn hard test too, man.
Yeah. And usually they end up with a list of about 6,000 or 7,000 guys. And that whole list might not be made. So, you had to work your ass off if you wanted it. But that's what I did. I'd come off of midnights. I would go to the gym and work out. I would take, do long bike rides down to Jones Beach, then run the boardwalk and run it back, and then ride the bike back, lift weights. I had a duffel bag, because one of the events was you had to lift a 120-pound dummy on your shoulder. You had to run up a flight of stairs that I think was 20 or 21 steps, turn around, bring the dummy back down, and put it down under control. If you threw it down, no time. So you had to place it. So I had bought a duffel bag in the Army Navy store, and I put like 140 pounds of sand in it. And I lived in a Queen Anne. That's where I grew up in Freeport. And we had the back stair. So I had that dummy at the back stair. And every time I went up the stairs, I would throw that thing on my back. I'd go up the stairs. When I would come down, it built up your thighs and, your shoulders. And you just got used to doing it. So, you had to do stuff like that to score high on the test. So I took the test in 78. the written, and then they called you for the physical, and then I did okay. I ended up I think 780 on the list, and I think probably the first 300 or 400 guys were all Vietnam vets. They got the 5 points, which they deserved. I had no problem with that. But that put them at the top of the list, and then the rest of us knuckleheads, followed behind them. So,
including who, Pete, was in his
Chief Steve.
Was in high school.
Yeah. So I ended up in Proby school, and in February of '79, freezing our butts off on the rock there. And the rock back then wasn't as nice as it is now. It was, now it's really a show place. It's a beautiful place to learn, and there's a lot of obviously 9/11 hadn't happened, but a lot of stuff attributes to but their inspirations, the stuff that they've done at the Rock now, to inspire the people that come on. But so I make it through Proby school, and I'm sitting. Actually, the fellow with the locker next to me was Eddie Moriarty, who ended up, being Chief Moriarty. And he's, guys have talked about him on some of your other, podcasts. So we go through Proby school. I do well through Proby school. I made one mistake, and that was when they were doing, when you first learn, everybody's supposed to know nothing, and they're going over the tools, and the instructor points to a hook, and he says, "So what's that?" And he points to me. And I said, "Oh, that's a pike pole." And his head snapped back. "A pike pole? What are you, some firefighter out in California or something? Where'd you learn a pike pole? This is a hook." So at that point, then they figured out it was a volunteer. And, so you get the little extra ball breaking. But by the same token, once guys know you're a volunteer, then they come, on the side. "Hey, how do you do this? Or what's this?" And you become like the rabbi there. So
a little bit of a senior man before you were the senior man.
Well, I don't know about that, but you have some answers, because everybody's there. And, a lot of guys that had never been to a fire or didn't know what a tool was, their dads told them to take the test, and here they are. And, so it can be pretty intimidating. But so there I was. I make it through school, and I thought, because I didn't know anybody, I hadn't, because this is a question, you know anybody on the job? I knew nobody, absolutely nobody on the job. There were no Italian union guys on the job. So, but I had done well in school with the tests and everything, and a couple of the instructors liked me. So supposedly that's how I got to 280. But I wasn't going to 280. I was supposed to go to 45 engine, because the one guy that I knew, it wasn't a rabbi, who you've had on, was Dennis Gordon. I knew Dennis, and Dennis was in a class or two ahead of me. And he had went to 45 engine, and I met him, out through the volleys. So he was like, "You want to come to 45 engine?" So he asked the captain, "Can I bring this guy in?" Blah, blah. So I went in and rode one Sunday while I was in Proby school, because, we didn't have Proby school on Sundays. Guy's name was Captain Cattell. And, we talked and everything. We hit it off. He says, "All right, I'm going to see what I can do to get you here." And 2 days before we graduate, he I get a call, and through one of the instructors, he says, "Captain, sorry, but they're not letting anybody go to 45 engine." So I'm like, "All right, it is what it is. What am I going to do?" I didn't know, So the orders come out, and I'm assigned to 280 engine. Had no idea where it was, didn't know anything about it. But there were two other guys in my class going to 280. One was Eddie Moriarty, and the other was Stevie Wall, aka Mr. Potato Head. So now Eddie's best friend in Brooklyn was Ed Coletta. Eddie Coletta was in the first class, and his father was the Brooklyn Borough commander. And Stevie Wall's father-in-law was the captain of Rescue 2's chauffeur at the time. So I figured, well, if he's sending him there and he's going there, it must be a pretty good place. So, I didn't know how to get there. So Eddie says, "Follow me," and we drive to the firehouse. So I get to the firehouse, and, the rest is history. You've heard the stories. You go in, and, whether you're getting the water poured on you, or they send you up to the captain's office, and, it's one of the brothers who's not the captain sitting there with the dress shirt on and no pants, and stands up and puts the bottle out, But we went through all the antics, and you know what? It was, for me, It was a great place to start my career. I probably, I love the firehouse, but having spent, the 3 years I did in a truck company, I knew right off the bat I wanted to go to a truck company. So I had my eyes on going across the floor. And that's after about 14 months, I had put my paper in, and they did have an opening, and I was able to get across the floor to 132. So I was there. And then I spent about 7.5 years in 132. And at that point, in Freeport truck, we were doing a lot of the other stuff. We were doing the vehicle extrications and, and a lot of specialty stuff. And I was like, I was thinking about, all right, maybe down the road going to rescue. And then Hash ended up going from 25 truck in Manhattan. He went to Rescue 1. And he was there for a little bit. And, he was like, you think you might want to, interview with the captain? It was a hard decision because we were doing a decent amount of work in 132. I loved the guys. I was the commissar there. I helped start the gym there. And it was, like I said, it was just a really hard decision to make. But I decided, you know what, that was my career path. I wanted to do it, and that's I got detail there in July of '86. November of '86, I was on the order.
And there you go. Do you feel better now? Are you okay?
Oh my God!
Is he frozen again?
No way. He is.
Get the holy shit. That's it. We're going right to the questions.
Poor guy. All right.
We're going right to the questions when he comes back. I don't want to hear nothing about Rescue 1 with the.
All right. That was the end of that. Oh, my goodness. My goodness. Dibadar.
Holy shit.
All right. So, well, how do we do it? Do we have here he is. He's back and he's mad. Oh, he's back.
All right, listen. I don't want to hear nothing about Rescue 1. We'll get right to the questions before
do it.
Good shit, though, Hank. We'll pick it up in a part 2.
Yeah,
Your Rescue 1 for the squad. All right, here we go. Questions for the brothers. What is the role of the OV at a high-rise 1076, 1077 when the fire is above the reach of the ladder? Keep up the good work. From Will.
Hey, Will.
You or me?
You can go.
Okay. We did, it's been a long time, and we did have to refresh our memory. I'm not going to lie to you. But the first duo V is responsible for operating the fireman service elevator that's going to bring the troops, up and down. So that's his assignment. The roof man goes to the floor above. Okay. So is that the question?
That was the question. Right. Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Next.
Then that's it. Another one coming in from the email. Can you ask the senior dude, having worked in both a rescue and a squad, what are the similarities and the differences between the companies? Also, did he prefer one over the other? Thanks, guys. Catch you at the bad ones. From Sean.
This is where he's going to navigate to be politically correct. Go ahead, brother.
Well, okay, first off, I believe, forget my career. I believe that probably the progression would be, at least in my mind, is to get up to a squad and a rescue, you want to be the most well-rounded firefighter you can be. So how do you become that? Well, you probably should do a little time in an engine, have time on the line and stretching and being a doorman and hooking up and knowing how to get the rig and pumps. Then you're going to go to a truck company and you're going to learn all the aspects of being in a truck company. At that point, now, like you say, you can get a little sticky. When the squads first came out, they would say they were the JV and the rescues were the varsity. And at that time, you could give that some credence because the rescues had a lot of seniority and the squads didn't. There was a couple of senior guys, but, like myself, Timmy Kelly, Quick. But a lot of the guys, were coming on with 3-4 years on the job. and they didn't have a lot of experience. So you would go to the squad to get the experience, and then you could either stay there, or if you wanted to move on to a rescue, you could. The big difference, and I think we've talked about it, everybody trains the same now. The only major difference in a squad responsibilities and a rescue's responsibility is, I believe most of the rescues, or all the rescues now, are all rescue dive trained, and not really hazmat, not to the same extent that the squad guys are. The squad guys aren't diving, but they have the second piece, which used to be the bread truck. Now they have a nicer second piece, and that's to help hazmat one, mitigate any large hazardous material incident there could be, or any mass casualty due to terrorism. So that's the only two differences. As far as
leaving out one big one.
What's that?
Well, squads act as a first, second, third due engine, so which the rescues don't.
You know what? I blanked that out because I didn't
carry a hose, and you have a chance. There's a chance to get a job on the pipe.
Right.
First, as a first due company, not as
And you're 100% correct. And being honest, I didn't go to squad till I had 19 years on the job. Mm-hmm. I had never been an engine chauffeur. I had been a truck chauffeur, and I had been a rescue chauffeur, never an engine chauffeur. So, I learned how to pump and volume and but I never felt comfortable at that job. I didn't like going in as an engine company. Right. Number one, because I was never comfortable. And number two, because if I was the chauffeur, 9 out of 10 times I was stuck in the street, and I didn't want to do that. But yes, that is also some of the responsibility. The squad does have a first and second and third due response area. Besides,
and medical runs, we go on CFRD runs, medical runs, where the rescues don't.
Right. Okay. So. There you have it. As far as a preference, it's hard to say. I mean, you know what? I did almost 12 years in Rescue 1, and 10 of the years were great. And unfortunately for me, the last couple of years, it's like anything else. It's like a sports team, a good company. You had a certain chemistry. You had certain officers. We had a great captain, Brian O'Flaherty. He got elected as the union captain's rep, so he was out of the firehouse. 2 of the 3 regular lieutenants, one retired, one got injured and was put out of the job. You lose some guys, get promoted, some new guys came in, and we just started operating differently. I wasn't really enjoying it as much. And, at that point, 8 guys left the company, which was unheard of, but it happened. So at that point, there was no squads. So I was like, well, what am I doing at this point? I'll go back to Brooklyn. And it's never the same if you go back to your old firehouse. So I was like, well, I still want to go to fires. I want to be busy. And at this point in my career, if I can make it a good commute, let's do it. So I ended up going to 175, on Bradford Street in East New York, which fit all the bill. It was a good commute for me from Long Island, a busy firehouse. It had a tiller rig. And it had a great group of guys. So that's, I put some time in there, and then, but I was missing doing all that special stuff. And then when I heard, you're sitting in the house watch and you're hearing a job come in and you're not going to it, but it's 2 blocks out of your response area, and you're chomping at the bit. So when the squads were being formed, luckily I got a couple of phone calls asking, because they were looking for senior, guys with experience. And if you could get a guy with experience that also had special ops experience, that would, help the company. So for me, I got I ended up going with Captain Murphy, being a senior man in Squad 288. And again, it was a great move for me. I got all of these sponges, Refrano and Kubler and Hunter and, all these young guys that were all very motivated. And they just wanted to learn and do. I mean, if I had to say something once as a senior guy, and it would be done. You didn't have to say things twice. These guys were great, and for me, I enjoyed teaching and instructing, passing it on. So that was a great opportunity. Here I had a bunch of I had 20 young guys with, Jello in their heads, getting ready to be molded. And I was shown a lot of respect, and which I appreciated. And I was able to teach these guys. So for me, it was backwards. I went from a rescue to a squad. But, once you get to that point, like I said, at this point, I think on the job, I don't think there's that much of a disparity in time in a rescue and the squad companies and stuff. So they're like interchangeable pieces. So you find a house you're comfortable with and the guys you're comfortable with. And if you're comfortable with the jobs you're doing, you're going to stay there.
All right. Is Kev frozen? No.
Nope.
He's frozen.
I'm listening.
Right.
I'm just entranced by Hank.
All right. Here's
And you know what else we left out really quick? BI and hydrants. Garrett pointed that out. Squads do BI and hydrants, and rescues don't.
Okay. Hey, you know what? I'm thinking about that. The last question about the OV and the roof. All right. Just to add a little long-winded. If you're going to ask that question, just a couple other points. More importantly, in a high-rise fire, which stairway is the attack stairway? Okay. So that first dual engine, I believe, they're really going to determine with the attack stairway. Which one is that? That's the one that they're hooking up in the standpipe to.
Yep.
Okay. Now, what happens once you hook up to that standpipe? The doorway into the hallway of the fire is going to be open. So what happens now? That stairway becomes the chimney. That's the attack stair. So the second due or third due, I don't remember the exact, but the chauffeur and OV, they're going up to the roof, and they're going to open that because that's becoming the chimney.
Right.
And the other stairwell are there for evacuation stairs. The brothers want to make sure that people that are being evacuated do not go into that attack stairway because you're going right into the flue. You're either going to get burnt or die of monoxide. So those are the important things, knowing your attack stairway and your evacuation stairway.
Like we said earlier, too, that's usually delineated by the first two companies, but they always do repeat it over the air as other companies are coming in, as the chief's coming in. The dispatch will always repeat which stairway is being deemed the attack stairway.
That's because it's very important.
Oh, yeah.
So go ahead.
Okay, this one is coming to Hank, but really it's for everybody. And I think it's pretty timely. So I'm honored to ask a question to this FDNY legend, Brother Molay. If this mandate for the brothers happened in your day, do you think that more of the brothers would have retired or stayed? And also, do you think that a bad case of the blue flu might have hit the job or not? Thank you very much and enjoy your retirement because you sure as hell have earned it from Big John Albanese.
Big Johnny A.
There we go. So Big John, I appreciate the question. And I think I said this before, just as a precursor to answering that. You know what? I don't consider myself a legend. I mean, I really don't. If you want to say that I was a very enthusiastic firefighter, experienced firefighter at a legendary time of FDNY, I think that's more fitting because there were a bunch of us that were fortunate enough to be on the job when we were. And see a time that hopefully I don't think will ever be seen again. So I appreciate it, but like I said, there were some guys that were legends. Few and far between. Okay, so now just to reiterate that question, it was say
would you get if the vaccine mandates were back then?
Okay, back then
had the same outcome.
That's a tough question, John. First off, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I have some lung issues from 9/11, so I felt it very important that I get the vaccines. And I've gotten flu vaccines my whole life. So I think the problem is being mandated. They have a problem with mandates. There were other things in place where they didn't have, Big Bird, de Blasio didn't have to go pushing the way he did. Back in the day, we had issues. There were union. We had no contracts and stuff. Guys usually didn't go sick from home. You might find where at jobs you'd have more guys tapping out and going sick from fires, and legitimately, there would be more of a rule book thing because most of the time, and back in those years, I don't know how it is now, but of all the city agencies, the New York City Fire Department had the least amount of sick leave. And that's because guys played hurt. You didn't want to miss a job. You didn't want to miss going into the firehouse. You wanted to be there. You didn't want to hear the other guys talking about what you missed.
Right.
And you always felt like you could make a difference, and you didn't want to give that up. So, like I said, yeah, you might have tapped out at a job with a sprain, a strain, a cut where you never even would have said anything, and so that's the kind of thing, and that kind of created some overtime, and you were trying to make your point that way, but you didn't have hundreds of guys like calling in sick from home. Now maybe there's not the incidence of fire now, so you have to come up with a way to make your point. So I'm not saying. And as far as retiring, I can understand if you've got time on, and you reach a point where everything that's coming down the pipe is aggravating you, and you're tired of the administration or what's happening to the job. I can definitely see guys putting it like, you know what. Had a good run. I got a retirement. I'm putting my paper in, and God bless them. The only thing I can say that you have to do it on your own terms, because if you get put out of a job and it's not your own terms, it's very hard to come to terms with that.
Right. I'm going to say one thing on this, because we talked about this on our last hot topics, right, Pete?
Yeah,
we talked about the mandate. So this is all I'm going to say. When this came out, I was kind of following it a little bit on the fan page. And there was a couple of guys out there, saying to the guys who refused to get it, like, man up, we're firemen, blah, blah, blah. Listen, I got my vaccine. I'm not an anti-vax. I probably would have got it because, I don't want to lose my job. But it takes more courage to stand up for what you believe, right? When you have something like your job at stake, when you have a wife, you have kids, everybody can be patriotic and say we stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance, but we're sitting behind a desk. It's these guys who put in their careers in a job that they love in the second seat because they are standing up for principle. Those are guys who got courage, man. Those are guys who got balls, and those are guys who are believing in something. Whether we agree with it or not, that you should get the vaccine, you shouldn't, I don't really give a shit. But guys who stand up on principle for stuff, man, and have a lot at stake, those are the guys who are really, I admire.
Yeah, right? And I just want to tack on to that, if that's okay, you guys. And I'm not answering this. Obviously, I've never been a firefighter, never will be. But I want to say one thing. If you go to Google and you type in, what does a hero do? And hit enter, it says, the first thing that comes up, it says, heroes protect others by saving others, helping others, acting against danger or injustice, acting when others do not, and acting on behalf of vulnerable individuals or groups. Okay. Now you can read that in a different couple ways in this context. However, I'm going to read it like this. What Kevin said was dead on. And my view on what our firefighters, EMS, nurses, and our police officers are doing right now, especially here in New York, is that they are true heroes. Not that if you got the vax or whatever, you're not. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is it takes a hell of a lot of courage to do that. And you are acting against danger or perceived danger or injustice. And that is what we're talking about here. We're not talking about that. I'm vaxxed, just to be open with everyone. It's not about that. It's about being mandated on some anti-American nonsense. And,
what's with courage is when there was no vax, the first responders and the medical people were still all doing their jobs.
Yeah, right. Guys, and everybody was getting it.
Right. I mean,
Right.
So,
and something I've been seeing people make comments, not necessarily in the firefighting community, but on things like the patch. Everyone knows what the patch is. Every town has their own patch, like Long Beach patch. I'm still, and you see these people and they say stuff like, "Yeah, good riddance, good." We don't want you out here serving the public if you can't do, you know what? Good riddance. Dude, I didn't hear you saying good riddance last year when the nurses were doing their dances and stuff like that, or when on the TikTok videos, and when firefighters were still showing up day in, day out, when my buddies who are cops were showing up day in and day out, tackling people who deserve to be tackled. especially last year when you didn't know what you were going to come home with. So I really believe what you said was spot on.
Another thing too, though, and you know, I probably didn't want to hear it when I was younger on the job, but I remember the senior guy saying, you know, you're going to love this job. It's the greatest job in the world. And everything. He said, but to the city, you are just a number, and that is it. And I'm now, even at this point in my life, I hate to say it, because I mean, it is. I love the job, and if I could go back in time, I would do it again. Yeah. But when there's certain things you learn along the way, like just like now, you know, I fulfilled my contract. Back then, it was a 20-year and out if you wanted it. I did more than 20 years, so I fulfilled my contract, and we knew we weren't going to get rich on that job, but okay, we were going to get a pension and we were going to get medical benefits when we retired. Now, you had Big Bird trying to sell us out, where the medical coverage that we had, if you want to keep it, we got to pay almost $200 a month now to keep it. Yep. My pension is 20 years old already, and now I got to take 200. So think about a pension 20 years. That's 20 years old. It ain't what it's what, you know. And now they're going to switch the game after I fulfilled my part of the contract. So the young guys that are out there, just be aware that that's how the city operates. You know, so, it's unfortunate. I'm not saying the job is the greatest. The guys is what make, you know.
You're just a number or a political tool in this instance.
Right. You know, and because they squandered your money away, and now they're trying to make up, you know, $600 million. Well, we'll do it off the back of the retired people in the city. Yeah. You know, this doesn't work.
I tried to tell my brother, okay, he wanted to be a 6-decade firefighter. Great. That's what you want to do, you know. But the guy was dragging around. He had no knee left, no ankle left. And I said to him, guess what? They don't give a shit. You're just a number. You know, the fact that you have 40-something years, guys respect that. But the city don't give a shit. You'll go and they'll put somebody else in your place and they won't even know who you are.
Pay them less money. They'll be happy.
Pay them less money. Yeah, they don't give a shit. So brothers is what cares. The job, the way we serve the community is what cares, is what matters. That's it.
Yeah, I guess they, you know, whatever they feel they have to do now, because it's a different job. Whatever they feel they got to do to make their point. God bless.
Yep. Good for them.
God bless these guys and ladies. Absolutely. All right. Next one coming in shit hot from the emails. Dear Pete, Coobs, and Lou, and maybe Hank. My question for you regarding the documentary surrounding Deputy Commissioner William A. Fian that was released on National First Responders Day a few weeks ago. My questions are, did you see the film? And if you did, what are your thoughts on the film, his life and his legacy? And what, if all, were your experiences with him during your times on the job? And what are your thoughts on the fundraising efforts attached to the film's release pertaining to the FDNY library at The Rock? Thanks for sharing your expertise as always, Owen Moller.
Okay.
Good old Owen. Go ahead. I didn't see it, Hank.
That's like a 4 or 5 part question there, but I'll do my best.
Generally speaking.
Okay, so yes, I did watch it. Yes, I did know Chief Fian, as he liked to be called, and that's also said in the documentary. I didn't know him. Did I ever sit down and discuss world politics with him? No. But did he come to and sit at the kitchen table at Rescue One at times when I was working? Yes. We have conversations. Yes. Did I see him after some major jobs in Manhattan? Yes. Would he come over and talk to the guys? Yes. So on that aspect, I did know him. The man was always a gentleman, always had a kind word to say. And basically when he talked, you listened, because the man was a wealth of knowledge. As far as the documentary that was done on him, I think it was an extremely fitting tribute to a great man. I mean, he was I think they said he was the highest ranking person to get killed at 9/11 and the oldest firefighter to get killed at 9/11. He was like approaching his 72nd birthday. And you would have never known it, No. He always liked getting, I think that's why he didn't want to be called, assistant deputy commissioner. He liked that designation of chief because he felt he was still one of the guys, and if he could jump in and do something, he would. So, it was a great tribute. If you get a chance to see it, it's about a 20-25 minute film. It's great. And I think it's a worthy cause what they're doing. They're trying to raise money to, I think it's called the Manned Library at The Rock. You know, I didn't really, you know, I think I've been in there once or twice. I mean, some guys like Hashhagen's was in there all the time researching. There's a wealth. If you're into the history of the New York City Fire Department, there is a treasure trove of material there. And I think what they're trying to do is get a lot of that old stuff and get it on, however they do it electronically now, so it's preserved and they have it.
My brother goes there a lot to research stuff.
What's it called, that library?
I think it's the MAND, M-A-N-D. I think it's the MAND library at the Rock.
Okay. Yeah, because if I could find out where everyone could donate, I'll post a link or whatever. Because I would love for us to be a part of, getting the library built up or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Pete.
But like I say, they might want you to do it through that little documentary. So it's in honor of Chief Commissioner Fian.
Yeah, we'll figure it. We'll post it up next show.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke with him a handful of times. I was in Proby school with his son Johnny, so I saw him at the graduation. And Johnny went to 252, came to squad 252, and Johnny's a chief now. I think in a 28. I think he's the chief. I just saw him recently. I don't know if it was at one of the shows, but like I said, I know Johnny's his son, and he's a good guy, man, great guy, and so is Chief Fian.
And the son is on a documentary too.
Oh, is he? I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yep.
Yeah.
And guys, I found the source here. If you guys can, anybody watching the show tonight, go to www.fdnyfoundation.org/donate to donate to the MAND. That is correct, Frank. The MAND library, and
Sweet.
And there you'd have to go into the pull down menu and find it here. I'm looking for it right now. It should be in here somewhere, but it does piggyback off of that documentary as well, guys. So if you guys would make a donation to that, if you're in the donating kind of mood, definitely go to fdnyfoundation.org to do that. And let's put it over the top. Let's try to get it over the top for these guys. That would be great.
Right. Fat Dad is saying that they're trying to get everything online. So that'd be great, man. If you research all that online at your fingertips, that'd be awesome.
Be awesome. I always tell everybody, like, why are you asking me a question? You have the power of you have the history of the knowledge of the world in your. I
tell my kids all the time. I tell my kids that every day.
Yeah.
Fat Daddy's in the chat.
Yeah.
I can't see the chat. How bad of a beating am I taking?
Not too bad.
Not bad. The beginning a little bit, but not.
All right.
Not too bad. Not too
All right,
bad.
don't worry. I'll get him.
All right. We're gonna move on here. Here we go.
Go.
You guys talk about how when there is a 1075, some of the boroughs run in a little differently, as in the companies in the Bronx were gentlemen about first due, and Brooklyn was an all-out race to get to the box. What was the attitude in Queens when you guys would turn out for a 1075? Is it one or the other, or a mix of both? Thanks for doing what you're doing and bringing the kitchen table to the masses. See you at the big one, Nate.
Well, we would turn out. I mean, we were in Queens. We were a special unit in Queens. We had a fast turnout. Most of the time, we were on the road when the company gave the 1075 before we got the ticket. So we'd be on the road already, listening up if it sounded good. Somebody was always listening to the radio. That caused one of the biggest clashes in the firehouse because we had scanners in every room, including the bunk room, and hazmat hated it. We had scanners on in every single the bunk room. I think we had them hidden up in the rafters somewhere. They couldn't find it. In the kitchen, we had it on all the time, and it was a constant battle. They would lower it, we would turn it up. They would lower it, we would turn it up. But we had a fast turnout, as most special operation companies do. Brooklyn, Hank, you run into the. When I was a Proby, they said you better be running like sprinting to the rig as soon as that bell goes off. So, I worked in the Bronx a handful of times. Everybody knows that. That's the no. You first. No. Hank, you first. Oh no. You fuck my sister. Go ahead. No, really.
I mean, you know what? The only Bronx company I worked in two, and that was doing overtime or detail to either Rescue 3 or Squad 41. And like you said, it was a special unit. You were listening to the rig. Half the time you had the rig started and on the apron before the run actually came in. So. It was hard to judge. I couldn't judge, the the Bronx. I mean, from what I saw, the companies were, it's like, you know what? It's like every borough. There's busier areas, there's quieter areas.
Right.
And you kind of get in a rhythm. The busy, it's like an esprit de corps. If you're in the busy areas, you don't want somebody taking your work away, especially, first do engine. If it's in all hands, you might be the line on a heavy body of fire. If you lose out your first do box, man, that's like a slap in the face. So you're getting on the rig and you're moving. And those busier areas, you tend to have companies that are closer to one another too. So that's
what Patty Lee just said in Queens. Like the trucks had huge, like 138's got a huge response area. So that doesn't count. It's not the same thing as in Brooklyn when there's a fire. The companies right down the block from each other. Or up in Howell.
What I did notice, and when we first went to 288 as a squad, we were responding. A lot of times we were getting into boxes that we were second do, first do. And that caused for, some not so friendly exchanges. But I think overall, over time, I think it made those other surrounding companies better because it brought up their esprit de corps. And like, I'm not letting those squad idiots beat us into our box. So,
right.
They started turning out faster and becoming a little more aggressive and, getting into the boxes. So sometimes a little friendly
competition ups the game of the other companies. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. And then the whole area ups their game. And that's good for the people in the community because you're getting there that much faster and quicker the quicker you start your compressions or the quicker you're putting water on the fire, things get better. We know that. So let
me clarify something to Garrett. I never said that Bronx companies don't turn out fast. I said if you were first due, you were first due on the ticket. You wouldn't be cutting each other off at the intersection, to beat the first due company in. So not to say that the Bronx companies didn't turn out fast, but if somebody was first due, they would let him in the block first. From my experience.
Remember, that was him, Garrett, not me.
From my experience, Garrett.
All right. Let's go to the next one. Yeah. Okay, fellas, great job with what you do. My question is, when you talk about promotions, you use a lot of acronyms like FLIPS, UFO, ABCing. Just wondering what they mean, and are there any others that you use? Thank you, from Ryan.
You or me?
Well, we tried to figure out flips, but we had a brain.
It's
first line something
or other. I don't remember. That's officers training. You get made an officer, you go to flips. I don't know. Like I said,
I don't know what it is. First line. I bet your Chief Clehouse knows it.
Well, is he on? I tell him to fill it in for us.
Yeah, I see Franny, so he's probably on, yeah.
What else was it?
ABC is when there's a battalion chief spot that needs to be filled. Maybe the chief's was out, or maybe he's up as they're using him as the deputy chief. So they'll take a captain and they'll make him an ABC, an acting battalion chief. So now that captain is the chief for that tour. UFO is until further orders. So maybe you're, an officer and they're sending you to 280 engine UFO. So you're in that spot until further orders. Either you get the spot or they're taking you out and putting you in another firehouse.
Right. Yep.
I don't know any other acronym. I mean, some of the stuff that guys had, like the Chinese 72, that was a scheduling thing. Right after.
That's a Kelly Day for the rest of the country. That's what they call it. They call it a Kelly Day. I don't know why we call it Chinese 72.
I don't know either, but it was from the time I got on, it was a Chinese 72.
Oh, look at Ray coming in. First line supervisor training program. But that doesn't spell flips.
What's the I?
That's FLSP.
Come on, Ray. And by the way, Ray, nothing gets under my skin, brother. You know that. Come on. Go ahead.
Okay.
But
moving on. It's been mentioned several times on the show. As a matter of fact, in another question tonight, of course, the difference between the Bronx and Brooklyn and so on and so forth about the personalities there. What are the, quote, personalities of the other three boroughs in comparison? Keep up the great work. It's appreciated by all of us from Brad in Mississippi.
We talked about this a little bit in the pre-show. Like the only thing that stands out to me is that when you worked in Manhattan, there was so many eyes between high-level people and bosses and chiefs and tourists that you always were in proper uniform. You weren't wearing a T-shirt and not the right uniform. Well, in Queens, if Chief Steve was working, you were wearing the right uniform. But you know that guy, right, Pete?
Oh, who?
Do you know what guy?
That guy? Wait, hold on.
Wait.
I'm Chief Steve, and I'm out sick. That doesn't mean you can act like a dick. Be a professional is what I say. Don't be a naughty slut while I'm away. I might be limping around at home, but I can check your hours. I can use the fucking phone. When I'm gone, you'll miss the love between us. No matter what, my brother's still a penis, and I'm Chief Steve.
it never gets old. I'm sorry, but
It never gets old. No,
No matter what.
put together the new song. I sent them already for crying out loud.
his face at the end, looking at you, sums it all up. I can imagine from childhood to now. That just sums it up.
Well, for all the abuse you took, Kev, this is a good one,
I
too.
see that face all the time, bro.
That's great, man.
How many times I saw that face when I was driving him?
Oh my god! So how do we say the other personalities are for, let's say, the Queens, Manhattan?
The brothers are the brothers usually.
Exactly. Right. It's hard to answer that question. I mean, you know what? Everybody's on that job, and everybody's there to do the job. Some areas are busier than others. Some guys want to be in busy areas. Some guys don't want to be in busy areas. But you know what? It doesn't matter if it's 3 a.m. and that alarm goes off and you got to go. You got to go.
Yep.
And the guys in those areas are getting the job done too. So, I can't say that one personality is. What Kevin said is true though about Manhattan. That I could tell you from my years in Rescue 1 is that you are in the limelight there. Any given block. I mean, you're running into some. It could be some political official, some movie star. I mean, and just the amount of tourism. Everybody wants to take pictures with you, and you're out there representing the fire department. So, you don't want to. You're not going to look like a bunch of ragtag guys. You're going to be, I mean, they ask you questions. You got to be halfway decent, halfway well spoken. And you are what the FDNY is, and. Even in quarters. I mean, I can remember, on 43rd Street, a lot of times, towards the end of the day tour, if we were in quarters, sometimes you're standing out front or the apparatus stores open. I can't tell you how many news people from New York, they had their their apartments or condos, and they'd stop in and start BSing with you or sit, okay, you're going to go have a cup of coffee and you're sitting at the back table talking with the 6 o'clock anchor for the news. I mean, it was a different, a little bit of a different world there.
I gotta tell you, I never got bored of working in Rescue 1, bro. Riding around the back of that rig, you're like a movie star, bro.
Oh, listen, there was nothing better than on a Saturday day tour. If you had some downtime, you get your lunch and you go to Central Park in the summer.
Oh, well, what about Christmas time, bro? Woo! Oh my God!
I mean, you sit there, you got everybody. You get a park bench and you could have your lunch. There's a lot of times you would get interrupted, but the skaters are going by and the tourists are coming up, and it was a different experience, a lot different than what my first 8 years in Brooklyn.
I would say it's all shits and giggles until a cab plows into the back of you, takes your leg off.
Man, Johnny.
It's like the Chief Steve's.
I don't know, W. Again, it's not me. It's these two knuckleheads.
Just like the Chief Steve song. That doesn't get old, bro.
Wow.
Johnny Dubs. Oh my
All
God.
right.
That's pretty cold, W. I'm with you, W.
Johnny, I
Oh,
love you.
Listen, as W, as your senior man for those years, I do not approve. Just so you know.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right.
Johnny Walters, we got to have him back on. Just so I can do that with him on the show.
Doesn't get up. Go ahead,
All right.
Derek. Give us another one. Come
All
on.
right. One more, or one like quick one?
Give me one.
One more quick one.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right. Hey bros. I wonder why you're always making fun of the dude with the leg crash. It's really fucked up. And I hope you never do it again.
Oh, we did it again.
No. I'm sorry. Hey bros, quick or maybe.
I'm saying, I just read them like, wow, I didn't get this question.
I'm
yet.
sorry. This is terrible.
Yeah.
All right. No more. I'm sorry.
That's wrong. And you did the wrong thing.
I did the wrong thing. Hey, bros, quick or maybe not so quick question. Can you guys go over how the house watch works for the FDNY? Is there someone always there? How long are shifts? Does everyone do it? Senior man versus junior man. Does that guy give dispatch info out, or is it the actual dispatcher? Please enlighten me, as we do not have a house watch over on the West Coast. The podcast is effing epic and getting better with each episode. Thanks, dudes. Cheers from Saul. Is that Saul with the wife?
That is Saul with the hot wife. Yeah.
Woo!
Yep.
Whew. Tell them all about this house watch stuff, so maybe we get another photo.
House watch. You did. It's what?
You got the 6 by, the 9 by, the 12 by, the 3 by, and the 6 by gets it twice.
Yeah, the 6 by takes it all the way through to the morning, like the 6 o'clock. No, the 12 by. The 12 by takes it all the way through to the morning.
Again, it depends on your firehouse. They want to know how the way it's supposed to work is when you come in, there's a chart, and depending on the group chart, which moves, that the watch that you have. So if you're in group 25 and 25 has the 6 by, and you're coming in for the night tour, you're on watch from 6 till 9 o'clock.
Right.
Then the guy who's got it for the 9 by comes and relieves you. He's there from 9 to 12. Then the 12 by comes and he goes to 3. And then the 3 comes to 6 o'clock. And then the guy who had it at 6 o'clock in the beginning of the tour gets it at the end of the tour. Right. Now, depending on where you are, like you say, a lot of guys, if they got the 12 by, they'll take it through the whole night. It also depends on what kind of night you're having, and who's working. I mean, when I was in one, Joe Angelini was one of the senior guys. But Joe was up all night. So you could be sitting out there on a watch and he'd come up to you and say, "Hey, kid, I got it." It's only a lot of times you just, you'd sit down there and you'd talk for a while. And he'd smoke a pack of cigarettes in about 20 minutes. But I mean, the guy was a wealth of knowledge, and he was just, I mean, he would take it from 12, from 11 o'clock until 5 o'clock in the morning. If it was quiet and you had the next watch, he would shake you, you got it. And then he would be good. He'd go upstairs for an hour, and then an hour later, he'd be down in the kitchen having a cup of coffee. So, I mean, it really depended who you were working with, but I did explain how it's supposed to work. Yeah. And while you're up there, you're answering the front door, answering the phone, you're receiving the receipts of alarm, you're turning the companies out, you're letting on the computer sheet comes SIDS information, the critical incident dispatch system. If you're going to, it has any pertinent information about the building you're going to, and you read that out. You tell them first due, second due.
That was my pet peeve, bro. People who didn't turn the companies out correct used to annoy the living shit out of me. Like, I want to know what we're due, what box it is. I want the address. I want all that information. Some guys were just going, squad goes. Yeah, man. Yeah, give me some more. You know what I'm saying? I used to scream at the hazmat guys. I mean, a couple of guys that didn't do the watch, right? Yeah. And most of the time, we would never let Hank take the 12 by, or the senior guy. Usually, you take his 12 by from him. Some guys like being in a watch, and then again, also there are some house watches, computers in the kitchen, so they all do the watch from the kitchen. Mostly single companies, right? I believe.
Yeah, I think that was something you might find, right? But generally, it's up, at the front of quarters, right? Because you want to be able to hear somebody coming to the front door and knocking on the door, or whatever.
Yeah, you don't want to be in the back when Chief Steve shows up and he's knocking on the door for about 20 minutes and nobody answers the door. Yeah,
correct.
Yep.
Now, I think in some places in the country, I think the officer does the watch. I was surprised to hear
what?
that. Yeah.
I like that. I'm gonna move there, bro.
Yeah.
I
So
guess they'd want to show the officer as the first face of the fire. You're right. Wouldn't that be the case? Like if someone came in and talked to the night watch or the watch, or wouldn't they want an officer in that position?
no, it depends what the situation is.
Okay.
You know, if it's to report a fire, you're turning the brothers out. If it's a question, then generally what happens, the house watchman will see what the question is. If it's administrative or a complaint or something, then he gets on a bitch box and he says, "Hey, Lou, Cap, got a civilian hit down here at the house watch needs to speak to you."
I gotcha.
And then the officer, either comes from upstairs or from the kitchen or whatever, and then, that's why they're making the big bucks. They get paid to answer those questions that they had to study for.
You get paid
like me didn't have to know that. We just used to have to know how to put fires out.
Well, that and fill up kids' air tires for their bicycles.
Exactly.
When I knock on the door about 30 times a day in the ghetto.
I gotcha.
Yeah, but you did it. You know what? You did it.
Hey, you know what? Some guys like to watch too. Some guys like to sit down there by themselves and read or whatever the hell they're doing.
A lot of guys were studying. Sure, if they were studying, they'd go up there.
Yep.
So
thank God I never did something this.
The one time I ever, thankfully it was not a big deal, but the one time we ever needed the fire company was when we lived in Windsor Terrace, and we had one of those carbon monoxide alarms go off. Mm-hmm. So my wife was pregnant with the twins, and we had the dogs, and we're like walking the dogs down the block, and she's pregnant. And we like knocked on the door, and we were like, can you send somebody to come take a look at this? It's just going off. We don't know if it's false alarm or not, or whatever. And they sent like 2 fucking trucks, man. And I had like 10 guys in the apartment with meters. And I was like, dude, you didn't have to do all that. And then they were like, no, we did. You know what I mean? It was the craziest thing ever. But I don't know if we talked to a guy on watch or whatever that time. I can't remember. I just knocked on the door and was like, hey, dude, I don't know what's going on in there. He's like, yeah, we gotta send everybody, and they sent everybody. It was nuts. There was like 2-3 trucks parked outside of the apartment building. Everyone was like, "What the hell's wrong with you, Pete?" I don't know. I've never had a carbon monoxide alarm go off before. It's kind of shitting.
Well, you know what? Just like they're there for a reason. You did the right thing. If it's going off, it's telling you something, or it's defective. Either way, you gotta, you get out until you find out what the situation is.
Yeah, I just was freaked out with the pregnant wife and the dogs and everything and all that stuff. So the guys, at least they did turn out. That was cool.
I mean, the biggest thing, the monoxide's going off. Somebody says, "Well, I don't smell anything." Well, that's because it's doesn't smell.
Yeah, right.
That's why you got the alarms.
Exactly.
So
yeah, good. All right.
Hey, MC wants to know if you work with a guy named Barry in the Volleys.
Barry.
Last name Barry. Yeah, you.
There was
Barry.
Yes, Barry. Yes, there were 2 brothers.
Barry.
I think one of them ended up being the captain of Rescue 3 for a while.
Yeah. All right. There you go.
Yeah. They were in Hose 4. So I mean, we knew each other, to say hello and everything, but.
Little hello and jello. Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I never, other than department functions, I didn't know them well, but I knew them. Sure.
Kevin Barry is what he's saying. Kevin Barry.
Oh, Kevin Barry I think he was pretty good friends with Bruce Newberry. I think he had something to do with the explosive bomb squad or something. But he wasn't a Freeport Volley, but I do know the name, and I think that's because I think I know it from.
He said retired NYPD bomb squad.
Okay, yes. So I didn't know him. Bruce Newberry, I think, was funny.
You can't say bomb on here. Sure, I can. Bomb.
But coincidentally, yes, there were a couple of Barrys also that were Freeport firemen.
Yeah. All right. Any more questions in the chat there, Pete? Before we button this bad boy up, what do you got?
That's pretty much it in the chat. We do have a quick shout out though.
We do. Go ahead,
let's see here. Okay. Hey guys, this weekend we had a crazy fire in Manchester, New Hampshire, where during the operation, 6 people were rescued, including 2 children, 5 from the 3rd floor, 1 from the 2nd. 1 person died. And the captain of Engine 11, Central Station, Manchester, New Hampshire's largest city, received 2nd and 3rd degree burns on 40% of his body. Captain Steve De Rousseau. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. The crew's action saved multiple lives. Sadly, at the expense of the captain getting burned, stands as a testament to the dedication of the members' actions in saving lives at the expense of their own. Lots went on with that fire. Actually, I have some photos here that I'd like to show. Really crazy.
I think he was burnt really badly, right? Like 40% of his body.
Yeah, 35
body,
to
yeah.
40% said the news article. Hold on a sec here. Let me share this. This is the captain, I believe. But check this out. This one was no Long Beach bullshit. This was the real deal. So, big shout out to them and well wishes to the captain. We hope you are safe and well and recover quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
And just to tell you how we talk about the job and how things, it's the type of job where in a wink of an eye, things happen. Something can happen. I believe a good friend of this captain happens to be good friends with Jimmy Graham, Captain Graham. And I believe the night before this fire that the brothers were playing hockey. And I think the captain here had a goal and an assist or something. And they were all, having a good time after the game. And then the next day, boom, he's on duty and this happens. So like I say, at the drop of a hat, we talk about, personality and boroughs and everything. You know what? The personalities are getting it done.
Yeah.
It's the makeup of the brothers.
Yeah. So people
call and the brothers and sisters are there.
Yep. So keep
no
in your
questions
prayers.
asked.
Yep.
Yeah, it's in the union leader, Manchester Union leader. That's the page. Captain Steve DeRusso became engulfed in flames during a flashover, which, by the way, we went over flashovers on this show at one point. I think with you, Hank, right? Were you on that one? We did flashover.
Yeah, I think with Dennis and I, we talked about flashover and backdraft.
Yep. And it was while rescuing a man from the second floor of a 6-unit multifamily building on Dutton Street, Manchester.
Right. It might even been one with Chief Steve. I don't remember.
I think it was with Chief Steve.
It might have been me and Chief Steve, but yeah, that was discussed. Yes.
Yep.
And just like, everything we discuss happens at some point or another. Even trench cuts. I just read a thing where FDNY just had a bunch of multiples over the weekend. And I think one of the big multiples in Brooklyn, I think they said they used like 2 or 3 trench cuts to get that fire under control. So,
See?
It does. It's not just written once that in a fairy tale that it happened, in a book one time.
Pete, it's not just the
Exactly.
Come on, man.
It's not just
guy.
So are we up to the doing shout out things or what?
Not yet. Let me just answer
go
two
ahead.
questions. Somebody asked about the monikers on the apparatus. You don't put anything on the apparatus. The shops always puts it on. And somebody was asking about the FDNY group chart. What is it? 2 days on, a day and a half off, 2 nights on.
It's 2 9-hour days, 48 hours off.
Right.
2 15-hour nights, 72 hours off.
Right.
And it bumps up a day every week. So if you're Monday, Tuesday
day, you'll be
and Thursday, Friday night.
Right.
The next week it's Tuesday, Wednesday day, Friday, Saturday night.
Right.
And then once a month, you get that Chinese 72, which is
Kelly Day.
Right. After your 2 day tours, you get the extra. Instead of 48 hours off, you get 72.
Right.
Which makes the monthly hours work out.
You're assigned a group number when you get there. 1 to 25. Was it 25-man group chart?
It was. Listen, I don't know
what it is now. 24, 25.
It's a 25 group chart.
Yeah, you get assigned a number, and the way you work 24s is, whoever lines up with you. Let's say it's 1 to 5 on a day tour. Whoever's opposite you at night, if you want to switch tours, you work his night, he works your day, and then you have a 24.
Right, you can do an up and down or an angle, however it works out.
Inside out, outside, Chinese.
Right, whoever your partner is.
Right. Yep. And that's it. All right, now do a shout out there, Mr. Molay.
All right, just two. Obviously, one is to Fat Daddy. Everyone knows, he's recouping from his operation. I did talk to him earlier in the week. We tried to be civil, which is hard, but he did tell me he's doing well and he's getting a lot of mileage in. So I'm glad to hear you're doing better, Fat Daddy. And for those who didn't know it,
what surgery did he have? That the addictomy?
No, you know what? In his case, it should be added brain to me.
Oh, I thought he had the addictomy by Dr. Ivan Kachikakov. No?
I told him to alleviate any more back issues. The problem in his whole life is that his spine is trying to hold his head up, which is the size of like 2 basketballs.
Yeah.
You know, I said, if you wear a cervical collar, it'll probably help your back out. So
There you
hopefully
go.
he'll start doing that, and it'll alleviate his back problems.
Oh my God.
The other the other shout out is to our good friend Captain Jimmy Graham, who happens to be my partner down here in Del Boca Vista when it's season. He is up in New York right now. Jimmy had to undergo some surgery, and
that's awful.
he's doing well. He's
Oh, shit.
Oh.
Oh.
Right
I'll finish it off, and then he can come back all pissed off. All right, so Captain Graham had some surgery. He's doing well. All prayers and shout-outs to Captain Graham. He's my new buddy partner when we're going to do the old firehouses. Pete set me up with all the correct cameras to buy, so me and Captain Graham are going to go out on the road and hit all these old landmarks in Manhattan and Queens and Brooklyn, and maybe even the Triangle Shirtwaist factory job, a whole bunch of stuff. He's going to be my sidekick. I bought a nice headlamp, so in case it's dark in there. So all the best. Godspeed to him. Up and running. Fat Daddy, same to you with the addictomy. And we'll wait for Angry Hank to come back.
Yeah, real angry. Oh my goodness. And guys, one more time, I just want to again get on with this cause, which is the manned library. If you guys want to donate to get that library up and running, and I believe Fat Daddy did say they were trying to make it online, go to www.fdnyfoundation.org/donate. And then when you get there, make sure you select the Chief Fian Man Library under Fund. It's very easy to find. You can go donate however you can. I'd like to make it a mission of the show to get this library up and running. And more education means more lives saved. And just let's be the wealth of knowledge that the FDNY is, right? And I'd be proud to try to help that along any which way I can. So this is our voice. Happy to use it.
We got a lot of good projects coming up. Like I just mentioned, Captain Graham's going to be helping me with that. We got a lot of good shows coming up.
Hey, there's
different
another project.
Ideas, different projects, different looks for the show. Not only great guests, but we're really working hard behind the scenes to get this working.
Hold on. Here's Angry Man. Don't be so angry. It's all right.
I tell you, I think the first Comcast guy I see in the truck tomorrow is going to
punch him right in the mouth. Go up and say, "Bam!" This for my.
You give him a 1-2. Actually, I want to give one shout out too, guys. Tonight the show is in part brought to you by FirstDoNutrition.com. That's right, First Do Nutrition. I'm not kidding. Where we have the top first responder nutrition in the game. You will not pop positive on anything stupid. It's lab tested, perfectly formulated by one Kevin Kubler here, who is not only a former first responder, but a gym rat of the highest order. So, guys, if you need your protein powders, what else do you have?
Fat burner, pre-workout, pump products, get it all. Get your swole on.
At first,
I gotta say, I use his pre-workout, and I think it's great. It gives me the energy. I'm getting my long bike rides in and getting some gym time in. For an old fart, I do pretty good. So
maybe you can give your internet the pre-workout. We get that one.
Well, when you come out with a product, I'll get it to it, like a steroid for it.
You said the S word. We got to get these First Do Nutrition ads out while Roofy's away. So thanks, Pete. I appreciate it.
I was going to say, is this Refrano approved?
I don't give a damn. I'm doing it. Okay.
Right.
I don't give a damn. It's all for Kevin. You know what? Let's get Kev up and running as well. I know that he deserves it.
So, did I get the rest of my Jimmy Graham message in? You heard it before?
I finished it up. Finished it up.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
All right, guys.
All right. Excellent.
So
all right. Listen, Thursday, there is no show Thursday. I'll miss you guys. But we got the Rock episode, Final Four. Petey hit a home run. Rock episode 4 on Thursday.
Big
After
surprise.
that, I don't really give a rat's ass what goes on in the show. I'll be down in Mexico drinking myself silly. So
Yeah, no, we are actually, the professional term, Kevin, will be we are on hiatus next
we're
week.
on the hiatus next week. All right.
Hiatus for
Catch up.
the next for the following week. You won't see us at all. So guys, that'll be a good time to catch up on the old podcast, some of the old shows, or watch The Rock in totality. It'll be done front to back. But you know, I'm really. This last episode is going to be the best one because of our special guest, and I think you guys will really, 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 really appreciate it because it's uncut, the last section, and I'm very proud to know our special guest. It's really proud moment for me. So awesome!
So do me a favor while we're away, get other people to watch the show and catch up, will you? That's all I'm asking you.
There you go. While we're on hiatus. All right, guys. You guys know the deal. Let me do this quickly. iTunes, podcast, Spotify, wherever fine audio podcasts are found. If you want to listen to the show, if you're not watching live here on youtube.com/gettinsaltyexperience. And if you are here, remember to like, subscribe, and share. We need you here to hit all those and also do the same for us on the audio podcast. Guys, go to Salty Dog Inc. At Salty Dog Inc. on Instagram, where you will find finely curated salty ass old school fire photos. Really awesome page that Mr. Refrano.
Maybe not this week, but next week.
Yeah, he doesn't curate it, so not so much this week. Mink, yeah, he's got deers beating him up. Guys, gettinsaltyapparel.com is one of the ways we pay the bills. But really, guys, you get the most out of that one. You're going to get all the coolest firefighter t-shirts, apparel, accessories, hats, all that good stuff. Thank you to everyone who was always hitting us up in the super chat. We really appreciate it, especially me, guys. That's a major boost for me. Guys, Facebook, if you're on there, it's Gettin' Salty Fans page for all the latest firefighting news. It's not our page yet. It's just coincides beautifully with the page. Some fans started it, and it's just wonderful. It's really a wonderful resource. All the fire news gets chatted about in there. No politics, but fire news indeed. If you want politics, go to Michael Milner's page. gettinsaltyexperience@gmail.com is where you will find any, if you want to hit us up with any questions for the show and for the Cup of Joe and Fuego podcast, which we will be resuming after hiatus, coopspodcast@gmail.com. Guys, send us your helmet cam, fire footage, send us your fire photos, send us all that good stuff, and your old ladies, your mustaches.
Does in the chat.
Diva is in the chat. Where are you,
Budapest. He's in there.
Budapest. You know what? Tivadar, by the way, I went over to your Tivadar, take care. Yes, I went over to his page and he looks like a
normal human being.
European.
Yeah, no. We think he's an Indian guy for some reason, but he's not. I don't know why.
No. Anyway, that, my friend, is all the news that's fit.
All right. So if you don't see me in about a month, it means I took my 2 kids. I ran across the border so I can collect the cool million once they separate us. All right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Listen, I'll see you. I'll miss you guys. And coming back all tanned up and no tan lines. Woo! All right.
Good night, Leatherhead Nation. I appreciate being here tonight, and I'll catch up with you in the chat in a couple of weeks.
And I guess I'll do lose line for tonight.
All right.
See you at the big one.
Stay low and go. I'll see you in Mexico. Woo!